Good morning, Green Phonics Group, and welcome to the last phonics session of the week and the last phonics session of home learning, because next week we'll all be back together in school, won't we? Okay, so on screen today I have another recap. Now, this recap is slightly different than the ones we've been doing for the rest of the week because this one hasn't got any sounds on there. This time I'm going to say some sounds and you are going to write them down to see if you can remember how to spell the sounds that we've been learning. And these are all sounds that we've been learning recently. Okay, so I'm going to say all the sounds and then we'll look at them after I've said them. Okay, so pause me as you need to, because some of our sounds you will need to write in more than one way because there's more than one way to make the same sound. Okay, so my first sound I'm going to ask you to write today is I. Can you write I for me? Okay, the next sound is How many ways do you know to write the sound? Right, the third one is air. How do we write air? And the fourth one is ow. How many ways can we write the ow sound? Okay, then our next sound is f. How do we write f? We know the easy way to write f. We know the single sound, but how do we make it with a digraph? Okay, moving on. How many ways can you find to write the or sound? Can you remember how we write the ear sound? What about oi? How many ways can you write oi? What about your? How do we write your? And what's the digraph way to make the w sound? Okay, how did you do with all those? Let's have a look then. So let's do a reveal. Let's see how you did. So so far we've learnt one way to make the I sound, and it's a trigraph, isn't it? Igh, I-G-H. Did you remember, and did you get the letters in the right order? Hopefully you did. Then well, we've got three ways to make the sound, haven't we? Two that we learnt last term and one that we've learnt this term. So all three of them make the sound. Then air. Did you remember air was the balloon that we blow up? So it's the one that starts with the A. Air. Then we had our ow, and we've got our two different ways to make the ow sound. This is the one we learnt a few weeks, well, was it last week we learnt that one now, isn't it? So our ow sounds, and then our other way to make the f sound is the P and the H. We learnt that one yesterday, didn't we? Okay, then our or sound. Three ways to make the or sound. The one we know, O and R, then our A and U and A and W. Ear, remembering our squiggly part of our ear. And then our two ways to make the oi sound, with this one being the one that we put at the end of a word. Your, the one that we find tricky to remember. Did you remember how to spell that one? Which letters to put in? So your, that pointy one. And our digraph. Now, if you got all those right, fantastic, because there are some tricky sounds to remember there. So really well done. If you didn't, take some time now, pause the video, have a look at it, and say, how can I remember this for next time? How can I remember that all these spellings make the same sound? Okay, we aren't going to learn a new sound today because we have done a lot of new sound learning lately. we are going to use our knowledge today in a different way. So we are going to do some comprehension. Now this is tricky. It's going to take you a while to do, so don't worry if it takes you a couple of attempts to read the stuff on screen, because this is a really tricky piece of writing for you to look through. So take your time. I'm going to show you the information. I'm going to vanish off screen so that you can see it properly. So this is the text that you have. So there's quite a lot of writing there, okay? So you can see that written in paragraphs. Take your time, read the first one and get in your head what it says, then read the second one, get in your head what it says, and then read the last one, okay? Don't worry about the fact it will take you some time. This is really good practice for you. Reading lots of different sounds in here. In this text are all the sounds that we have learnt over term 3 and term 4. So they are all in there, practicing your ability to recognise them. And quite a lot of your tricky words are in there as well. So this is quite a hard thing for you to read. So really take your time and understand what you're reading. Now, I've sent this home on a sheet as well. So you can either read it off screen or you can read it off the paper. That's absolutely fine. When you've read it, there are some questions to answer, because with comprehension, it's about not only reading the words, but understanding what it says. So on my second page, there are some questions for you to answer. Now, I will read through these questions with you to make it a little bit easier, and then I'll leave you with the text on the screen for you to read. So question 1 says, what was the squirrel doing? So obviously there's a squirrel in the story. Question 2 says, what time of year is it? And it gives you some choices. You have to pick the one that you think it is. What is the girl's name? And again, it gives you some choices and you have to say, what is the girl's name? Question 4 asks you to understand a word. So it says, as she bound from branch to branch. Now that's something that's in the text. You need to read it in the text. And it says, what does bound mean in the text? So if you read the whole sentence, can you figure out what that word means? What were the children doing? So there are some children in it. So what were they doing? Why do toadstools grow so well under the tree? The text must tell us the answer there. What was left in the tree? And it gives us some choices. What was left in the tree? And then at the end, it just says, have a look through the text and find the verbs. So spot the verbs that you can see in the text. And remember, those verbs are those action doing words. So this is a really, really tricky bit of comprehension. We've done some practices with comprehension, but this one is much more tricky. Okay, so as I say, take your time. It is going to be a challenge, but I think you're up to it because I know that we've been learning all these phonics words and you are doing better and better each day. So put on your I can attitude and off you go. I will see you in school next week and I can't wait to hear how amazingly you've got on with all your phonics. Bye for now.